All right, third time is a charm. Restarted here. So the moon is in Virgo, and the moon is in opposition to Mars and Venus. It could be a little crunchy for some people. Thank you for coming back. We had a connection issue. It's all fixed. I had to restart things. So the moon is in Virgo, and that's Malcolm sniffing at the door. Speaking of Virgo and pets. Hi, how are you? Good to see you. Yeah. So it's going to be a little interesting because, I can't wait to read for you. Exciting. So tomorrow we wake up with the moon in Virgo. It depends on what time of the hoodie and lipstick, right? I'm an 80s girl. We wore hoodies and lipstick. It's a fashion thing. See, I'll even take my hair down out of my messy bun. There. Ooh, look at that. It's like waves. That's about the only way I get my hair to curl. Put it in a bun. So, the moon is in Virgo. It will be in opposition to Pluto in the morning tomorrow. So, yeah. Is it late for me? It's 9 o'clock. Which 9 o'clock isn't late for me. I'm on the West Coast. So... yeah. You know, I finished reading charts at 7 p.m. tonight, so, but I also don't do mornings. Like, I don't. Mornings don't happen for me. They're not a thing. I'm not an early morning person. So, yeah. Well, you're in a different spot. Time zones are cool, huh? Right? I know. Pisces rising doing mornings. How does that happen? I can do mornings if I have to. I've done mornings. It's not what my favorite thing is. Malcolm. He hears me opening my crackers and he's like, hey, how about you have some cheese instead of crackers? Take it. He has a thing for crackers, right? Oh, kittens. Yep, they'll do it every time. Kittens and kids. Absolutely. So again, we have the moon in opposition to Pluto tomorrow and, or not in opposition, sorry, trine, my brain. It's trine. It is at the end of the night for me. So it's in trine to Pluto tomorrow, and that's going to be interesting. So you made it. Woo! So, yeah, the moon will be in trine to Pluto tomorrow. And on a personal level, that can be a really powerful time where you've got a lot of transformational energy flowing. You can put a lot of power into your projects, into what's going on. It depends on where it's falling in your chart. I factored that in the horoscopes on Patreon. So when you read your rising sign horoscope, it doesn't mention the astrology in the horoscope itself. I'm interpreting the energy of the astrology for you there. I talk about the astrology in the beginning of what I write because, there's usually about 2,500 words in every single horoscope that gets sent out. And I talk about the thoughts I have about the energy and the astrology. Then I get into the mundane forecast, and then I talk about the horoscopes. So yeah. So good evening to Justine. But yeah. Hey, McDubs. Astro Mama was driven to drink today, so. And because in honor of the new TikTok guidelines, I won't tell you what's in my glass though. But stinky cheese and a cracker and a good bevy and woo! Well, bourbon. But this isn't. So. But that is my go-to. Thank you, Casey. But yeah, I am. we'll just say I'm a little loosened up. So, long day. I'm kind of glad that I normally don't get up at the time that Pluto will be in trine to, or the moon will be in trine to Pluto, because that's when the moon will be on my south node and my Pluto. I'm just going to sleep through that. Yeah, isn't it? Cheers. Cheers, big ears. What are you having? I'm having tea. Mommy's special tea. There we go. Oh, I'm in the live spotlight. Yay, as I'm shoving food down my face. That's awesome. Very cool. Glad I put lipstick on. So, tomorrow should be very intense on the world stage in weather. I think we're going to see some more weather ramp ups. No, I haven't even looked at the news today. I don't even know. Hey, Shane. But yeah, so I expected there to be quite a lot going on over the next couple of days. Internationally, it's going to be kind of interesting. I think there's going to be some, again, all of these transits are global. They're not just in the United States. They happen everywhere. I know I once I do a forecast, then I go look for headlines. And so I saw some really dramatic stuff out of Europe today. There's some really volatile weather there. And I know there's some storms happening here in the United States as well. And our temperature dropped down here in Southern California, which it's building back up again. But it's still a little cool at night, so I brought the plants inside. And if you're new here, I've been doing gardening by the moon because it's really important to grow things for yourself. As an astrologer, a real astrologer, I don't just point out what things are in somebody's charts. I teach people how to work with the energy. And one of the things we want to do over 2022, 2023, 2024, into probably 2028 would be get good at growing things inside your home. Not just in your garden outside, but even in an apartment. Hey, welcome. So and I've been giving gardening tips when I remember. I'm going to do a gardening by the moon guide as well. Container gardening is something I've done for a long time. I used to have a big garden when my kids were little and did all the earth mother stuff. And then people stopped helping me in the garden and it was too big for me. So I just started gardening on my porch. This is years ago when my kids were teenagers. And so I'm a middle-aged woman who lives by herself with her dog. So I'm gardening for me, and my daughter doesn't live very far from me. So she's redoing her landscaping. So I'm going to grow for the both of us and either bring her starts or bring her produce because I have a great patio. But right now everything's on the inside. Let me show you my tomatoes. So we had a little bit of warm, like extra hot weather for us here in Southern California. Because it got up into the 80s. They're closed right now. But look at that. Look at that, my tomato. It has what? Look at those. It has blossoms on it. I'm so excited. I'm a Cancerian. I get excited about baby things. So, who wants to see my sweet potato? I have a purple sweet potato that I started. It's absolutely fantastic. What does this have to do with astrology? Everything, because astrology it's reflective of everything in life. Everything has a chart. Absolutely everything has a chart. Okay. And so, and you can use astrology to work with the current energies. Okay. So a lot of times people just think, oh, I just want to know about my personality. Astrology is an amazing tool for that. It's one of the best tools I know for self-actualization. But the reason why kings, queens, emperors, CEOs go to astrologers, and not all of them do. I can always tell who does and who doesn't by who's doing what when. But the reason why they did is because astrologers didn't just say, oh, the moon is trining Pluto tomorrow. Nobody knows what that means unless they're an astrologer. They would tell that person, this is how you use that energy. Like, I wouldn't do this if I were you, or you really want to look this way. That's why I'm tired after readings, because I'm consulting all day long. Unless I'm, even when I'm doing a natal chart reading, I'm showing somebody the different layers of the energy that expresses in their personality. So, but today was a day full of career readings. And so, you know, career life paths. So we're looking at how to move through either the crunchy times or how to maximize some really good times. Had a hell of a great chart earlier today. Just amazing. It was just like one good thing after another. And I was like, man, you want to build up now and get ready to catch it. You're going to have good stuff happen no matter what. But if you don't have a bucket to catch this, you're only going to get like a small portion of what you could get. And then I love the emails I get from clients afterwards. So I'm looking forward to the emails from that person in about 6 months. So it's super fun. But let me show you my sweet potato. It's a purple sweet potato. And this was a leftover potato from Thanksgiving because my daughter and I made a purple sweet potato pie. Talk about truly purple, okay? Gotta have fun in life. Life is short. Taking it too serious all the time, even if it's falling apart, is ridiculous, okay? So we have to have fun. In fact, it's super, super important to keep your energy levels as level as you can. You don't, swinging up and down isn't good. You know, when we get really, really excited and then we crash, that doesn't help maximize the energy flow. I like being in a nice middle of the ground, you know, middle of the road, easy, grounded, neutral space that I can choose where I can go. So let me show you my sweet potato. It got just enough warm weather to really, look at that. Like before I was having to pull it out. Look at that root system forming, and we got new slips going. Pretty soon I'll separate the slips out and then I will have multiple plants. This thing is going to be gorgeous on my porch. So I'm super excited about that. But yes, so very, very, isn't that cool? Yeah, I started it in a mug because they just go in water. So, you know, I just put it in there and it's taken off. So gardening, you know, it's funny. It's just like spirituality. They'll try to sell you every tool known to man, right? Like you've got to get this and you've got to have that. And, you know, as much as, here it is. As much as I love this very pretty piece here, right? I don't need it, okay? It's pretty, it's nice. But I actually have some gypsum, which is what selenite actually is. Selenite is a form of gypsum. They're different qualities, right? I went out to Wyoming to visit my mom and dad in 2018, and my mom and I went through the bentonite hills where gypsum grows up, and I got the selenite gypsum. And it's low grade. It's low grade. It's not anything fancy, but guess what? It does the same job as the higher quality, okay? And so that's important to remember, okay? It's not how much it costs or it's how it resonates with you. Same with gardening. You know, yes, I have some cool pots for later. I'm using grow bags because they're not heavy. They're fabric. I don't want to lift heavy pots. I just don't. So those are things to remember as you go along if you're gardening by the moon with me on Patreon. I know I get excited about silly things just because life is short. You know, if we don't follow our whimsy now, when are we going to follow it? You know, I was really, really fortunate to know people who had lived through the Depression, lived through multiple world wars, because I had relatives that were really, really old when I was a little girl. One of my uncles had fought in World War I and World War II when I was, you know, he was really old. And almost all of them would basically preach, just enjoy the moment. Enjoy what you got when you have it, how you have it. Fun doesn't always have to cost a lot. And they would talk about their fondest memories of before people had refrigerators. They weren't invented yet, you know, before people had washing machines, before they had airplanes. Or like my great grandpa was a little boy during World War I. And as a young teenager, like 13 or 14, all these biplanes that were used in World War I, the pilots would do barnstorming events when he was a kid, and he would go watch them. Yeah, simplicity. We don't have to overcomplicate things. Most people go there because they think the answers have to be hard. They're simple. They're not easy, but they're simple. Now, astrology is not simple. So astrology is complex. But the interpretations always go back to the very simple understandings, all of the mysteries, and astrology is an attempt to explain the mysteries. Okay, there's lots of different modalities. And to be a good astrologer, you have to study a lot of things. And so the wisdom comes in from understanding the simplicity. And then once you learn the complex subject of astrology, you know how to hone in on those energies and then apply the energy in the most effective and efficient manner. And it works. That's why my forecasts are so accurate. Not that there is a news block here or something. My God, I really appreciate people putting links in our Discord on news, because you'll notice when you're searching news, it can be really, really hard based on your own algorithm on Google, etc. I am constantly thinking of different ways to ask questions to make it work, to find information. So, but yeah, so I was smart tonight, and I actually got some charts up, but I'm gonna have cheese and cracker first. I got some charts up for tomorrow and tonight. So let's do that. Let's look at the charts. Effects. So this is right before I came on. We can see the moon there. The moon in Virgo. It was at 17 degrees. And so it's finished its opposition with Jupiter, and it's heading towards its opposition with Neptune. That's going to be rough seas, guys. That's going to be big waves. That opposition to Neptune really stirs things up. We might see some erosion events. We might see some rain. This is all basic mundane astrology. Now, when I say basic mundane astrology is its own study, and it's really important to have your basic astrology down, your beginning, novice level, have that down. It's like playing basketball. Always do your drills, right? And so it's beginning, it's too far out. I don't like a 10-degree orb. I like an 8-degree orb on the moon. And so it'll begin to trine Pluto here in Capricorn. And notice right now it is trine Venus, and it's trine Mars. So if you go look at commodity markets, if you go look at crypto, it's probably, the prices are probably bumping up a little bit. So, what's interesting is tomorrow morning's chart shows us, see, like I said, I was a smart little person, and I did the charts before I did a live stream, because half the time I come on live and I'm like, I didn't do the chart. So this is about, I think I did this for 8 a.m. Pacific. And so, yeah, it's 8 a.m. So we've got it moving into a trine with Pluto up here. Okay, so it's moving into a trine. Notice that the sun is going to ingress tomorrow into Pisces. This is very interesting energy, guys. Whenever the sun or the moon, the luminaries, or any of the planets ingress into the next sign, there's always it's reflecting a big energy shift, okay? So it doesn't mean anything bad is happening. It just means you're gonna feel the energy shift. That's why there isn't cusps. It doesn't suddenly gradually change. It's not an ombre. It's walking through a door. You've gone from the kitchen to the master bedroom, okay? It is, the two are not, it's not an open, oh, thank you, TikTok. It is not an open floor plan, okay? And so the sun is getting ready to ingress into Pisces. We've got Venus and Mars conjunct again, okay? Right, it will definitely be, yeah. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, right? Yeah. In the TikTok plaza? I don't know what you mean. I got lost on that. Oh, what else? What should you do or not do? Well, I always write about that on my Patreon. Let me show you, because I took screenshots of that as well, because I can explain it all day long, but it's better to see it, right? Oh. So, hang on. Boop, boop, boop. Did I put it in here? No. Oh, hang on. See if it'll let me do... Oh, good Lord, that's too tiny. These things. One second. I'll answer your question in just a minute. I'm fiddling around with this thing, this doohickey, this thingamabob. Here. Okay. So how will it hit small people? That's a good question, you know. Every single human being is intuitive, but also instinctual. And what happens during the lunar transit is it pings, because the moon rules your instinct, okay? So part of our natural wiring, part of what is instinctual about us is the lower energy centers activations, okay? So that gut feeling. A lot of people confuse that with intuition. Intuition is up here. It's in the upper energy centers, okay? So the lower energy centers, which doesn't make them bad, it's just the more rooted earthly connection versus our more universal connection, right? So learning how to use those. When I say ground, tomorrow is a day you want to ground, okay? And if you go listen to my podcast, I probably talked about that on the Leo full moon one. Correct me if I'm wrong, mods, because everybody else seems to remember more about what I say than I do, because I'm moving on to the next thing. But one of the things you can do is wiggle your toes, etc., because you may feel a very big, like wanting to run things, wanting to control things, wanting to make reality the way you want reality made. And why aren't these other people shaping up in line? And why aren't they doing what they need to do? And blah, blah, blah. We all feel that, right? We all feel that from time to time. We're all human. We all have this desire. If only Joe Blow and Susie Q would get their shit together, everything would be okay. Then I could have peace of mind. But the thing is our peace of mind is actually an inside job. We can't do anything about what somebody else is doing right in front of us, but we can take care of our own response. And so if I don't like what's going on somewhere, if I walk into a store and no one is wearing masks, I can bitch about it and expose myself, even in a mask, or I can walk out and go to another store. Simple. You have agency, okay? And so it's really applying that agency. And in this lunation, that's very, very important, because when I come back, let me come back to the chart for tomorrow. The moon is doing a couple of things as it moves through the day. So it's at 23 there, and that's 8 o'clock. At 26, so that would be 6 hours. 6, 8, noon. So by 2 in the afternoon, okay, sorry, doing the mental math. By 2 in the afternoon, the moon will be trine both Pluto and the North Node. So there's a moment in time, there's this window over a couple of hours that's almost fated, okay? It's almost fate. Remember, the future is like a tree. But tomorrow, around, again, 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and you'll probably be feeling it before. So notice, maybe this is the fan of possibility, and there's so many choices. And then we move to this. This is probability, okay? And that window, you can select which probability you want. Now, this one might not be very favorable. Maybe this is the one with the least enjoyable outcome. But if you think about it first, before you react, before you jump at somebody, before you have a knee-jerk reaction, before you shut down, before you get into the details of what's wrong with you, okay? Because that's what most people have been trained to go. What's wrong with me? Don't do that. What's my options is the way to go, okay? That opens you up to the better opportunities, and there'll be a window of opportunity. What that window is depends on your personal natal chart. This is earth energy. It's structural energy. It's about refining that which isn't working. So instead of focusing on what's not working or what you don't want, what do you want? And it's not about anybody else's stuff. So if I'm angry and I don't want to be angry, what do I want to feel? Peace. Okay. If I'm frustrated, what is it that I really want? If I'm frustrating and I'm trying to figure something out, what did I want? Okay. Well, I want to understand. I want to have clarity, right? So yeah. I don't do the portal thing. I just don't. Because the Gregorian calendar is made up. Astrology, the stars would be in their positions, the planets would be in their positions, the moon would be in the position in relation, all of this would be in position in relation to the planet Earth, regardless of what the dates are. We could number them Glebot and Blopspriel, and it would still be where they're at. Okay? So the 222 thing, if you want to hold that reality, great. But this isn't about this, okay? Because this happens once a freaking month right now. Yeah. So it's okay if you have that belief. I don't truck with it. It's not the spirituality I work with. Okay. Again, reasons. But anyway, if you want to believe it, it's an okay thing to believe. There's nothing wrong with believing it. One of the best things we've got working for us right now is we have Jupiter sextiled Uranus. I did a video, the one where I sang on it, did a little bit of Blue Eyes. Hey, Auntie Amy. By the way, guys, Auntie Amy is going to be on my podcast. I'm going to be interviewing her at the end of the month, and you're going to learn about the year of the water tiger, and you're going to find out some stuff about that, because I had a question for her. I was like, everybody's saying, oh, it should be a gentle year, and I'm like, it's water isn't always gentle. And she informed me that my suspicions were correct. So we're going to be talking about that, right? How fun is that? Mutual satisfaction. Auntie Amy and Lori having a wonderful chat. End of the month, so it'll probably come out in March. So, yeah. Or, yeah. You worry about the kiddos? The kiddos are way more adept at energy work than you could ever imagine being. Each generation born in is more ready for it than the last, okay? Some of us were vanguards, like I was born fully receptive, fully awake, fully all of that fun stuff. But the kids are more than ready for it. The only thing that gets in the way of most kids is the adults around them and the worry. So trust your kids' souls. They've got this. They know what they're doing. Yeah. Why do you have problems with the energy as adults? Because there's been interference. You weren't taught how to keep your channels open. You weren't taught how to do the mechanical. That's a good question. You weren't taught how to do the mechanic side of things. So like my really dear friend, Yvette, who's my birthday twin, I call her my energy mechanic, because you've been told it's not real. You've been told you don't see or hear or feel what you feel. Things have been broken down in systemic training, through culture, through social, through media, not just social media. I love how the television loves to come at us, but they were doing it long before social media. So yeah. So kids, especially under 8 years old, are a lot closer to remembering. And we're supposed to forget some of it too. We're here for a range of experiences. So yeah. They are reactive to the energy because they're not taught how to respond, and they're being forced to be in a system that does not serve their well-being. They know they are in a system designed to control them. And we are in an era where those systems are being blown apart. So yeah, they are reactive to it, and they have a whole bunch of adults freaking out around them or whining and bitching around them, so they don't feel that security. That's why, Amanda. But honestly, the system isn't there designed to foster their well-being. It's designed to force people to fit into a system. That doesn't work for the majority of people. It works for the system, but not the people. And that is what's being dismantled systemically right now. We won't see the full dismantlement right away. People always expect, poof, it's done. Poof, it's done. It doesn't work that way. Nothing works that way. It's evolution. It takes time. We don't want it to change like that. We wouldn't be able to manage it. But yeah. Yeah. Right. Well, and there's a mix, you know. So it just depends, and every kid has their own journey. A lot of what people assign in spirituality, okay, a lot of what people assign as, oh, well, this is how it's good and this is how it's bad, is taken from other belief systems and has nothing to do with the way the universe works. The universe doesn't look at it as good and bad, it looks at it as experience. So when we incarnate, okay, we're looking at a range of experiences. Some of them are crunchier than others. So, but that, as I was teaching a client today, resistance isn't bad. It's the part that sucks, but it's not bad because it's from the place of resistance that we create everything. We get nothing created without friction. Nothing. So those frustrations, those outbursts, those things like that, that teaches us a lot. And sometimes something will look horrible, but it's exactly the situation needed to evolve us collectively forward. We don't have all the answers to that. So yeah, critical thinking is extremely important. Yeah. I had, it's always kind of nice when your kids actually listened. And my son sent me a video today that was almost verbatim what I taught him growing up, and he's an adult now, and he sent it to me, and it ended with a statement that I used to tell him when he was almost grown up, okay, so like 17, 18, when he'd be squirrely, and I'm not going to say it here, but it was exactly that, and I laughed, and I said, well, that's what Mama said, and he goes, yep, and it's been working, I've been applying it, and it works, Mom, and I'm like, thank you, you know, it's always nice and gratifying to know it's sunk in. But yeah. I do. I have a parent-child reading where I work with my parents. Absolutely. Because I have the skill set to work with the parents to not make it a manipulative experience. But especially if their kids are under 18, absolutely. Yeah. But I specialized in parent-child readings really early on in my career because it was something I specialized in for myself. But yeah, and I was a parenting instructor for 14 years on top of it. So as an astrologer, it's always good to go study other things once you have the astrological knowledge. You know, so I got coaching certificates, I got facilitation certificates, I studied other modalities, healing modalities, metaphysical modalities, business, you know, you name it. I studied it all because the more you know, the more of a polymath you are and the better you are at things, the more you can help your clients. So yeah. Yeah, no, I wouldn't just read a child's chart to a parent. No, I show the relationship between them. It would be a synastry reading. Yeah. Yeah, those are the only synastry readings I do besides business partners. I do business partners and I do parent-child, but I don't do romantic dating ones. So, but parent-child and business partners, absolutely. Well, I started, I've been at this for 3 decades. It's very mature. I don't parent anymore because I have adult children. So I mentor. As far as a coach, I've been a coach for 20 years, pretty much 2001, 21 years this October. Oh God, this is getting gross. It's like, damn, I keep getting older. There's a lot more confidence because I've done it for so long and I've worked with so many different people. I think the difference between me being younger is just, a couple 100,000 charts and hundreds and hundreds of people. That's the difference, is just experience. So it's easy to gain knowledge and you can look, there's references and mentors but then you apply it, and doing my own research, because I'm also an observational applied researching astrologer. So I've done my own independent research as well. So confidence. So yeah, in fact, I had a great moment today reading for a client, because as I was just really confidently, just relaxedly explaining something to her, it was almost like I had my 25-year-old self sitting over my shoulder, looking over and going, wow, that's so cool. You are so good. Because at 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, I would have been second guessing myself. I would have been like, well, I think maybe, and at 25, 26, and 27 into 28, I didn't read professionally. I was still practicing. So as a young beginning astrologer, to have that kind of confidence was a pipe dream, so, and I got to tell the client that too. I was like, hey, I just had this really weird moment where my younger self pretty much just was like, whoa, that's amazing. That's a really cool thing, so yeah. Right. Well, yeah. I hung my shingle out as a professional at 29 during my Saturn return because my mentor kicked my ass to do it. And I probably second guessed my first 5 years as a professional astrologer. So just because, and not as bad, like obviously the first 100 readings, but after that, I'd be like, did I say it right? Did it make sense to them? Did I get it right? I would be really, confused by it. So, night, Benjamin. Oh, I do live readings. I don't do record. You come in a Zoom and I consult with you. Yeah, I don't just do a monologue. That's even for a natal reading. You come into the Zoom with me. Yeah, I don't write. I don't write reports. I don't have time for that shit. And I don't use computer generated reports because they're too general. So yeah. What's the rulership book? It's literally called the Rulership Book by Rexy Bills. I've had 3 copies in 3 decades. It's the one book. Like Alan Oakins, like if I could only have 3 astrology books on hand, well, oh, that's a hard choice. Nah, if I could only have 3 astrology books, I would have Alan Oakins, My Ephemeris, and the Rulership Book. Because, to be honest, I haven't drafted charts by hand in like decades, nor will I unless we totally lose everything electronic. Because I have multiple backups of my software. I hate doing the math like by hand. And so that's why I would have it, because he's got the explanations in there. But yeah. Yep. Right. Only 3. Exactly. No, I have whole half a library back in Washington State. I only have a quarter, maybe an eighth of my library with me. But I don't really use reference books anymore. That's why it's not that big a deal. They're more nostalgic to me. I think anymore, I've been reading William Lilly. This one. So, hang on. Let me pull off the effects here and I'll show you the book I've been referring to. Lilly was an astrologer just after Nostradamus. Here we go. So, and so I refer to that text a lot. So, and you know, there's a reason Nostradamus sounds really creepy when you read his quatrains. And if you don't understand, oh, you're so welcome. If you don't understand what it's like to read in the future, it can be a lot creepier than it is. When I was looking out at 2020 back in 1999, it was so terrifying, you know. And the reality of it, as hard as 2020 was for most people, it honestly wasn't as bad as what I had been seeing through my own frame of reference, through my own lens, through my own trying to understand what was going on. And so imagine he was looking out hundreds of years. And so he described things as dragons and things like that because he did not have a frame of reference. Just like I didn't have a frame of reference for everything. Like I saw massive systemic change. I saw communications disruptions that didn't make as much sense. 20 years ago, we did have the, you know, or 1999, we had the internet. I was on the internet all the time. I was on the internet from the time you could get on the internet. You know, and I had computers before that. So, but it was interesting to watch. And then the weather aspect of it. And there was just a whole lot of things that were very frightening to look at so far in the distance. And so if you're, imagine trying to look hundreds of years ahead. And so he was very good at creating metaphors, but he wasn't speaking literally. Okay. Well, the rulership book isn't like that. It's not what you think. It's a description of what planets rule, but yeah. And dispositorships to your transit state. Interesting. I don't tend to use dispositors that much in my transits. Sometimes it depends on if there's a mutual reception or something going on. But I'm teaching how to read your transits in April. So, yeah. Right. And if you do look hundreds of years ahead, it's really trippy. You got to be really, really careful when you're future casting because you don't have the frame of reference. It's just why I argue against Hellenistic astrology. I don't care that they translated the text. It could be a very professional translator. We don't live in that time. We don't have the same environment. We don't have the same belief structures. And there's no one alive to tell us really how it was interpreted. And if you're going to say, well, that's the gospel, then we have a problem because it's not the way it works. We have only our own lens and framework from which to work. I don't want to apply patriarchy. I want to move forward. I don't even want to have a seat at the patriarchy table. I want the table broken. Okay? That's part of my job is to help break that down. Why would I want a seat at it? I wouldn't want them to want me. Okay? And yeah, my chart, it is about breaking that crap up. So I take that knowledge, and yes, it started there. It's just kind of like you look at Freud. You don't apply Freud. Freud got the ball rolling. Okay, good enough. We know he did it. Okay, we've moved past that now. You know, and also it was kind of a backlash against, you know, when they diss medieval astrology. The thing about medieval astrology is it was Arabs that were keeping it alive. And so in the early 2000s, after guess what happened? Well, there was a lot of racism flat out. And I take exception with that. So I've had some almost knockdown Drago fights over that one. Because my children are half Middle Eastern. So I'm like, no, not today. No, we can, you can blame the Middle East for algebra too. So, and I don't mean algebra 2, I mean algebra. So yeah. Welcome, what? You want cheeses? I don't have no food on me. You're licking your lips? You coming to get cheese? You guys have to see my dog. He's so cute. All right, you want up? Okay. All right. Oh, he asked so nicely. This is the Malcolm. Oh, Malcolm. Hi. He's my Taurus. I think we bumped it. We bumped it getting you up. Let's have some cheeses. It's a Malcolm. He smells my cheese like, Mom. Here, come down. He's such a Taurus. Come see me, Molly. He is so sweet. Sorry, Cracker in mouth couldn't talk. He did need the cheeses. Oh, he's happy his tail's wagging. But yeah. Everybody loves Malcolm. He's a lovely boy. He's a sweetheart. I'll show you guys, I'll give you guys a good picture of him from today. If you ever wonder what my dog does while I'm in the middle of readings. Oh, Malcolm, inside bark. Don't do that for Molly. Molly, don't encourage my dog. Yes, psychic. There's the Malcolm. Can you see him? There's the Malcolm. I just said his name, so he walked over. So that's my beautiful baby. He makes the couch all comfy for himself, right? He's such a Taurus. It's a satin couch, so he's always very comfortable. But that was he was bored. He was pouting. So yeah. Of May 16th, it's the 15th on the West Coast. That's the lunar eclipse. And what are people saying that has you concerned? There's a whole lot going. We have the solar eclipse on the 30th of April, and we have on May 15th/16th, we have the lunar eclipse of the first of the pair. We have two pairs happening because there's always a solar and a lunar. Okay, they come in pairs. And then in the fall, October and November, we have a solar and a lunar again. So, yeah. So I'll do some live streams about it, and I'll start getting some videos up on it. I just wanted us to get past the stupid Pluto return thing. By the way, if you're worried about the U.S. Pluto return, I have a great audio that explains the history and explains what is up. So, yeah. Oh, your son's 25th. Oh. Oh, thank you, Francesca. It was my pleasure to read your chart. Malcolm totally is living his best life. I tell you, he is totally living his best life. Let me see here. I don't think I didn't grab the eclipse chart, so, but yeah, so. Thank you, Casey. My mods are the best, right? That's all I have to say. They're the most awesome people in the world. They help me a lot. We're not going to slow down. What I will tell you, the relaxation of the mask mandates, etc., is absolutely unconscionable. Please do wear your masks. It may be uncomfortable. There may be some social pressure around it. Please wear your masks. We've got the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction coming up in April, okay, April 12th. It's one of the reasons I haven't really talked about the eclipses yet is we've got the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction on April 12th. There's a couple of things that happen with that on a mundane earthly level. One, the expansion of viruses, okay? It's just textbook mundane astrology, okay? Beyond everything else going on, okay? So schools are ditching masks. I know. I heard what Inslee did. And you know what? If I was a parent, I'd be like, you keep your mask on and the teacher can call me if they have a problem with it. That's all there is to it. If you can, it's really bad public policy. Okay. It's really, even from the science, I've watched a lot of medical creators. I've watched a lot of scientists just be banging their heads. We've done this over and over. The numbers go down. We relax things. Guess what happens? It's been like, really, how many more times, right? How many more times? Just ridiculous. So yeah. Don't get me started on Inslee. I lived in Washington for so long, and I have a lot of opinions about it. It's not the enlightened left that you would imagine, because it ain't. It's corporate stooges. But yeah. Well, honestly, I wouldn't expect Idaho or Montana or Wyoming or Nebraska or to be on board. I just wouldn't, because of how it was messaged in the beginning. If you made it a patriotic thing, if it was a war on COVID, everybody would have been down with it. But did they message it that way? No. And they did so many, do this, don't do that, do it, don't do it. We're going to do this. We're going to do it. It was inconsistent messaging, and it was unconscionable. And from the astrology, that's why I pushed so hard last year. I was trying to get people ready. And so, there's a couple of things this year. One, that expands, okay? It's going to expand. Wear your masks, okay? I'm just adamant about that. The other thing is weather, okay? So it's going to be exceptionally wet, except in the Southwest, but we may even get a little bit more precip, but exceptionally wet historically from like late March in through April, because the astrology is just, it's going to be wild weather globally. So that's going to increase. So, thank you. I can't be anything other than real. I don't do pretense very well. You're just recovering from COVID. I'm so sorry. Even though you're vaccinated. Yeah, my parents just recovered from breakthrough cases. They live in Wyoming. They're boosted. They're old, they're elderly. But thank God I'd pushed them to get boosted. And so they didn't get hospitalized. But my mom is still recovering. She's still really, really tired, So my dad has other health conditions. So I'm really glad I just really pushed. So far good. So yeah, you're starting your garden sooner. Oh, good. I'm so glad. I'm so glad to hear that. Yeah. With the astrology, I'm not just saying, oh, it's kismet, you can meet somebody cute. I'm saying, get your gardening going, grow things inside. We're going to have a crappy harvest. The Midwest is going to probably have, flooding events. The Northwest is going to be wet, especially through the grain, planting season, right? When they're going to sow in the wheat, because the Pacific Northwest actually grows a lot of grain. You don't think about it, but Washington State on the east side grows a lot of wheat, and I think it's not going to be a good time for planting, and that's going to screw up harvest. And then we have extreme weather in the mid to end of July into August, which is going to totally hose harvest. And these are all really important things. No, this is classical astrology. We still look at harvests. Why would we look at harvests? because we eat food. The node is in Taurus. Uranus is in Taurus. And trust me, what do you need? Food, water, shelter. And those are all up on deck this year. Food, water, shelter. They're all up on deck. We're going to see commercial real estate tank in the summer. We're going to watch probably residential start after the summer. I don't think it's going to tank this year as much as it will in 2023. So, and really, I wish it would too. Yes, I would. It would be nice, but next year probably. So yeah. And again, I write all of my forecasts on Patreon. That's also where I'm posting my podcast for right now. I'm looking at Acast to move my stuff off of the Spotify owned Anchor. And then I just won't, again, I've got a little, 12-minute podcast up on Spotify explaining why I won't be there anymore. And so everything is patron only for right now. It's early access on the podcast. The latest episode is now available to the public. It's probably going to be hot, and yeah, probably tornadoes. I think the flooding is more likely in like May, June, April, May, more. I think it's more combined fires and lightning strikes and tornadoes and things like that. So, possibly hurricanes. Yeah. So, yeah. It's on Apple. It's been on Apple, but I haven't got any new ones up on Apple. The new Acast that I'll be using, I'll be able to change the RSS and I'll be able to have the new ones up there. Because I'll be able to migrate everything over and have a new RSS feed. So yeah, you can look up the Awake Space on Apple and everything is there except the new episodes. All of those are on Patreon and those are available to the public within 24 hours of me publishing them. So for the first 24 hours, patrons get the podcast first and then it opens to the public because my patrons make my podcast possible. I don't have to take sponsorships. I don't have to, be careful about what I say or how I say it, really. I'm always mindful of my words because I understand words have power. That's why I'm moving off Spotify. Do I have a big audience? No, not compared to, he who must not be named. But at the same time, I can't really take a stand and not live by it. So I am a woman of my word. So we're just going to move things over and get bigger and better. And I'm kind of liking this other platform better anyway, the more I look into it. So it's just getting the time to do it. Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad you were there. Yeah, unfiltered Lori. Yeah, when I get on a roll. I haven't honestly. It's probably when Jupiter goes into Aries. It's probably going to be an interesting fire season. I haven't done all of the locational astrology on that, but I'm quite sure with Jupiter and Aries there'll be some doozies. But yeah. I couldn't stay. I've been politically active since I was 3 years old, and I'm not kidding. I accidentally saw the news when I was 3, and Vietnam was on the TV, and I was really, really upset. I couldn't sleep. I had nightmares, and I kept bugging my mom, and she let me write a little chubby note to President Nixon at the time, and I did not get a letter back. I got other letters. I got a letter from the governor of Alaska in the 1970s when I protested the baby seals getting clubbed. And they thanked me for participating. They thanked me for being, like having a voice. And that stayed with me. I'll never forget that note. That was a nice note because they didn't promise to fix it. They said they were sorry I was upset, which is not a nothing, but they did say, hey, it's really good you're participating as a citizen. You have that right and keep doing it. And I thought that was really nice because back in the 70s, people had to type letters. It wasn't like a email or, yeah. So you got personal letters back then. And I got letters from local politicians as a kid as well. So I've always been very outspoken and very active. It's kind of part of my chart, part of who I am. And I've never liked him anyway, you know. And the fact that Spotify had such a lame, well, we don't have to agree with him to have him on. And it was like, I don't know. You paid for him. You know, you are responsible. You're a producer of his show. You paid him $100 million. You're a producer. You're not just a content platform at that point. They could argue about me. They don't pay me. I don't take any money from them. So they could say, well, she just uses our platform, and it would be accurate. But they paid him $100 million. At that point, you are in the production team. So, yeah. So I was just like, you know what? My patrons can have it on Patreon because they pay him for it. So they're the people I'm responsible to. Yeah. So, yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So it was good. It was good to move off anyway. Because again, when I look at Acast from where I was at, I was like, holy crap, I didn't even know they existed. And you'll see I'm wearing, this has a big P for Patreon. I'm a Patreon ambassador. And one of the first things I did is I went into the Patreon Discord and I was like, hey guys, my patrons would love me to be off Spotify. I want to be off Spotify. What can I do? Does anybody have any resources? Because there's a lot of podcasters who use Patreon. And so within the community, there's resources. But somebody from Patreon got a hold of me right away and went, here's how you do it. And they were so helpful. They're very, very responsive on there. So very exciting. How can you have a one-on-one with me? My mods have got you. In fact, here, I'll put I've got a little graphic I made. It's not the final graphic. I was just dinking on Canva. Oop, come on. Tonight. Where'd it go? Oh, it's not gonna, oh wait, okay. There we go. There we go. The link. Yeah, no, Patreon has amazing support. And yeah, so the horoscopes, podcasts, all of that is up linked in my profile. So, right. Molly's got our discount codes. If you want to book a reading with me, use the discount that Molly's put in the chat. Maleficent. She is my code mod. My mods are amazing. It's always funny when I get out of a reading. So I'll be in a reading and my Discord is pinging. It'll just be pinging and I'll be like, what's going on? What are they doing? What are the kids doing? There's a lot of noise happening. It's either too quiet or it's too noisy. And then we can walk in and they make me laugh every single day. Their conversations are hilarious. You like those colors? Cool. I'm going to be making a new website. I'm not super happy with my Woke Astrology site. Ever since those so-called graphic designers took on my site and messed it up, I haven't been happy with it and it hasn't really been working for me. So I'll be building out a new site as well for me. And then the mystery school is getting built out. That's the awake space. That's what we're building out. So it's an exciting springtime. There's going to be new resources and new things going on. Oh, insomnia chat. Oh, big hugs. Oh, I'm sorry you can't sleep. It's kind of interesting energy right now because we've got Mars and Venus conjunct. And the moon is trining them. So, and the moon just came out of a trine with Uranus. So if you're sensitive, you're probably still feeling that a little bit. So, time for cheese. It's good stinky cheese. Well, it's not really stinky, but it's okay. Yeah. I haven't been able to sleep till late. So, because I'm not even tired, you know. Right, Shane? What are the kids doing? Oh, Shane. What are you guys doing? Am I missing stuff? And just the kids are so tired. Are the kids having meltdowns? Are you having meltdowns now? Do I need to rock you to sleep? Sing you a lullaby? I'm teasing my mods. So, right. What kind of cheese? I can't remember. I've got a good cheddar. I've got an aged cheddar. And some of these are just kind of, they're named funny. It's not even a name I recognize on cheese. So I'm going to call these herbed cheddars. They're trying to be fancy in their packaging, but I'm like, it's effectively a cheddar with herbs on it. So, all of you want me to rock you to sleep. Okay. One day when we can get you guys, oh, poor Casey. Yeah, I could not go without it. It would be hard. Lullabies with Lori. Oh. I use Western tropical astrology. That's what I use. So. I had only one little child in my life that did not like to be rocked and sung to. And it was one of my friend's children. He hated it because it made him fall asleep. He was a little Aries, and he just hated it. When he'd be tired, I'm like, do I need to rock you? He'd be like, no, I'm going to bed, because he'd feel tricked. Because he'd get all comfy, and his head would go, and he'd nod, and then he'd end up in bed and wake up, and how the hell did he get there? So he would just take himself to bed, because you want to know he put himself there. Oh, it was so cute. He is grown now, by the way. That just trips me out. He was the youngest of all of our kids, and that just feels strange. Mm-hmm. Oh, no. Make you fall asleep at work. It's funny, I've been told quite a few times people use my podcast to fall asleep, and then they're like, in a good way, in a good way. And I'm like, I don't take it in a bad way. If nothing else, if my voice just soothes your nervous system and takes some of the anxiety away, that's good enough by me. You know, we live in crazy times, you know, and they're going to continue to be crazy. So, yep. It's been wild. But you know, you were all born for this. We're all growing. I know we get tired of growing, don't we? But if you don't grow as you get older, if you don't learn, and if you don't allow life to unfold, you become very hardened and very static. And you can put two people in the same room that are the same age, and one is decided to keep learning and growing, and the other has decided they know all there is they want to know, and there's a big difference on how they are physically, mentally, you know. And there's still good times within all of this. Like I said, on an individual level, you can create sheer magic this spring. On a big level, on a meta level, on a community level, on a collective level. Well, there's some stuff that's going to happen that's not going to look real good, you know, and it's not going to be fun to be a witness of. But on an individual level, you have a lot more agency. Listen to your intuition, train your Mercury, use it, use your mind, you know? You hate adulting. See, I don't understand that. My childhood was like, I wanted to be an adult as fast as I could because the adults were shitty. Okay. I wanted to be in charge of my life. I wanted to be able to own my mistakes. I wanted, like, I could earn money. You know, it's up to me how I live. When my kids' age were like, adulting, and I'm like, oh, it's so much better than being a kid. I don't miss being a child. I do not miss being a child at all. So it's having control over my life and what I do, having car keys and an ability to make income. Yes. You know, and I don't like working for other people. You know, in the last 20 years, I've worked a total of, if you put it all together, 2 years for somebody else. That's it. I've been contracting. I've owned my own business, but I can't do it because it's a lot like being a kid when you work for somebody else. I have authority issues. So, but yeah. And I'm not judging you for not liking adulting. I get it. It's hard. It is hard. But man, you couldn't pay me to be a kid again. Could not pay me to be a kid ever again. Nope. And that was kind of one of the problems I saw when my kids were coming up. It's just as a society, we weren't teaching people how to be autonomous, and we made being an adult hard. You see the both sides. I bet you do. Yeah, you're subject to their whims. Exactly. Yeah. You know, and it is hard when, you know, but we've got to open our minds to how we can do things and innovate too. Now is a great time for innovation, a totally great time for innovation. And you can't wait for other people to innovate it. You know what I mean? We have to innovate as best we can in our own lives, to make it through the next several years. So just the more I look at the astrology, the more I know that's true. And the system is holding for dear life onto itself. So there's no way it's going to innovate. So just not going to happen. Wow, there's a cheddar. That's a good cheddar. And I've had a little bit of special mommy tea. The one thing about getting ready for the new guidelines to get into effect is it's a fun game to be creative on how to express ourselves. But yeah. So wild. And tomorrow should be really wild weather as well. I think we're going to hear more out of Europe. I think the Ukraine-Russian situation will be continuing to be in the news. I've written my opinion on this in the Patreon. Let's put it that way. I keep putting a great big, if there were an invasion, it would not go well, either due to weather or miscommunications, etc. I think, honestly, this is big gambits for negotiating access to things. So, right? Oh, yeah. When I heard what they did in New York, yeah, that was great. We'll see what happens with that. That's interesting, too. And if you guys actually go back to my January 6th video where I talked about, when I was warning people that it was going to be a crazy day, And I said the downfall of a corrupt leader, that's part of that. Pluto action rings out over time. So it's not, everybody always thinks it's going to happen yesterday or this quick. It doesn't happen like this. So I'm sure Putin has metaphysicians. Yes. Whether he has an astrologer, I don't know, but I am quite certain he has metaphysicians. Probably does have an astrologer. Yeah. And I can tell in the States who does and who doesn't, and kind of which line. So there's a lot of us who do mundane astrology, but there's right wingers and there's left wingers and there's actual political scientists. Just saying. But I know who some of the more right-wing astrologers are, and I can always tell when they've advised somebody because I can see the actions happening on the day, and I'm like, that was classic. I see you there. You know that's not going to work, because they also have a really stuck mindset when it comes to interpreting astrology. And I was like, well, yeah, that might have worked in the 1600s, but we don't live in. It's not going to work out. It's going to backfire. So it's kind of funny when I watch, because I can watch events and be like, that person had advice. Wasn't good advice, but they obviously had advice. So, yeah. So, but Putin probably does. Honestly, I think this is a big global diversion from COVID, to be honest. Because I wish I wasn't that cynical, but honestly, nobody's taking it seriously. And we're all going to be taking it real serious come April. Wear your masks. Please wear your masks. Please wear your masks. Please use your hand sanitizer. You know. Oh, I know who he is. He's actually very inaccurate as well. Yeah. Oh, I know. There's a whole bunch of him. He's actually a QAnoner. Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. I'm still using KN95s because I got the breakdown on the exposure, and since I work from home, I'm not out much. I'm not ever in a crowded space from, like a grocery store. That's as crowded as I get. My big day out on the week is going to the grocery store. Woo! It's like life when my kids were toddlers and I had somebody to watch them for a whole hour while I ran to the grocery store and did therapeutic grocery shopping. Malcolm gets ever so excited when we do that. So I'm still using my KN95 because it seems to be effective for that amount of time out in public. So yeah. Yes, I'm vaccinated. Absolutely. I need to get boosted. Mostly I've been trying to find an appointment that doesn't clash with my reading schedule, just in case I'm sick for a day. I need to have it. So yeah. I know. It's been trying to get it into the schedule, but I literally stay at home. So, but yeah. I know. Oh, cool. Good, Molly. Yeah, I can go get it soon. In my, actually, you know what I'm going to do it? I have 2 days off next week. That gives me a 4-day weekend. I feel more comfortable doing that. What I didn't want to do is if I do, you know, just have that day's reaction, which I tend to when I get any kind of shot, I tend to be out for a day, even if it's just fatigue. And I didn't want that to impact a reading. So, oh, good for you. You got your booster 2 weeks ago. Good. They were negligible. Okay, that's good. Well, I'm having a different kind. So, you know, I'm doing the mix and match. So I just want to be sure. And mine isn't based off any nervousness about this vaccine. When I went to Africa in 1991, actually, was it 90? Yeah, fall of 90. I had to have like 8 shots, 10 shots. I mean, I had shots in my arms. I had shots in my butt each side. And I had told my boss was like, now look, you don't have to come in tomorrow. You are going to be one sick puppy tomorrow, you know? And I was like, oh, boss, I'll be fine. I'm strong. I don't get sick much. It'll be okay. The next day I called in. I'm like, you're right. I'm dying, you know? And that was it. I was out, you know? I don't remember the day. I just remember the phone call and that was it. I don't remember what he said other than the chuckling and hanging up. So yeah, I think it just depends on people's personal bodies. So, but again, that was like 10 shots. So, but you know what? I didn't want any of the things I had shots for, and I gladly took them. There were things that we don't have here or have much that we need to be immunized for. So, yeah. Yep. So all those people, that's why when the military is complaining, you know, they get 1 million shots when they go into boot camp. They don't question what they're getting. So this has just been politicized. So. They still think we need to be in the kitchen making sandwiches. Of course they're not going to buy into science. Just saying. Right. Well, there was resistance in, you know, even in the polio era, there were people who resisted that vaccine. Some people signed up for it, other people didn't like it, but it wasn't as bad as now. So, there's always going to be people who resist vaccine. Some people signed up for it, other people didn't like it, but it wasn't as bad as now. So, there's always going to be people who resist, you know. There will be people who will argue for their limitations and their ignorance all day long. I mean, look at it. We've got, you know, I mean, the whole, there's a witch, you know, such bullshit. I took a screenshot because one of the creators online found the address for that church. And there's a part of me, I'm trying to think of something that would just scare the absolute living daylights out of somebody who opened that at their church. I'm working on it. I'm thinking about it. Oh, it was. It was like, does she weigh the same as a duck? You know, for fuck's sake. Yeah. It is. It's stupid. Yeah, but in all those horrible examples, and I don't mean horrible on your end, I mean they were horrible experiments. They weren't global efforts that were talked about in the public eye. We have a lot of independent scientists having the discussions. what really caused the problem was the mismessaging by the CDC. They caused inherent mistrust in a time where there was already division. It was, as somebody who specializes in communication, I don't know where their people went to school, but it wasn't in the secure and assure people school of thought. It was in the, hey, let's make this as hard as possible school of thought. So yeah. Well, and that's the other reason where I'm like, you know what? Wear your freaking mask. That's the part, like, that's the part that bothers me more. I can see people being suspect of pharmaceuticals for lots of different reasons, even though I'm not. The mask is like well established. That's just being like stubborn at that point. That's just putting your heels in the ground. I wear masks for a reason, you know. That's the part where I'm just like, you wear shoes, you know, you wear shoes. I don't know what else to say. You wear shoes. It's not a big deal. I can't breathe in it. I'm like, no, we're not going there with that. My daughter is asthmatic. She does fine. She even gets a little eczema because of wearing masks. She still does it. Right? Oh, yeah. Oh, thank you. I love the galaxy. Go figure. I'm an astrologer. Thank you. That's beautiful. Yeah, I haven't stopped wearing the masks. Yeah. Aw, you rock. Thank you. Right? Yeah. Right, exactly. Surgeons, right? Yeah. So, but with the current Jupiter-Neptune situation, as Jupiter moves towards Neptune, I'm just telling you guys, and I was really dismayed because, you know, they dropped mask mandates here in California, and I went to the grocery store today, and as I was driving around, just like, there was a handful of us who were wearing masks. And I understand the social pressure. It feels weird to be the only one doing it. Do it anyway. You know, and the workers were still wearing their masks, so that was good. Yeah, your toddler can do it. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely they can. So, what are you doing, Malcolm? What are you doing? Come here. Oh, he's licking his chops. He's like, is there more cheese? Come say hi. Oh, we disappeared. There we are. There's the Malcolm. I don't have more cheese in my hands now. Right, exactly. We don't know though. We can't make assumptions if all people have had COVID or not. We can't make that assumption because we didn't do adequate testing and tracing and tracking. So we actually can't assert anything, you know, and which variants. And you can have more than one variant at the same time. You do not get immunity from having it. There will not be herd immunity from this. It's not how it's working. And so that's why everybody wear your freaking masks. Yeah. Yeah. I tested negative, you know, even though I'm pretty certain I had a version of it back in August of 2020. By the time I got a test, I tested negative. But it hit my tonsils, you know. And it impacts everybody a little differently. But I never, you know, I'd have to do like an antibody test or something. But people still get sick if they've had it because there's different kinds. So that's something to remember. Yeah. Oh, right. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, Leah. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So even the testing isn't necessarily, yeah, I could see that. I was isolated anyway. I stayed in my room. I haven't been that sick since I was a little kid. So I was out. I was out. What's up, Malcolm? You need scratches on your chin or your ears? Malcolm needs scratches. Here, this is gonna drip. Give the chin, Mom. Gee, oops. Wait, wait. I'll give you scratches. Wait. Look at that. See how he puts his head up? He's like butting up against me to give him chin scratches. Oh, Malcolm. Are you a scuttlebug? I'll give you the scratches. I'll give you the scratches. Good boy. Mwah. But yeah. Scritches and scratches and scritches and scratches. He is. He's a big love. He's a big cuddler. He's a Taurus. What can I say? He's my good boy. Yes. Oh my gosh, Molly, I have a fun story for you. So I put his Snoopy blanket in the car and I haven't brought it back in. So when we went to go out to the store today, and it was too hot the other day, so I had to leave him home when I went out, right? So we got to go with Mom this time and we got our puppuccino. Well, he wouldn't leave the back seat and I couldn't figure it out. Normally he's in my front seat. It was the blankie. It was his Snoopy blankie from Molly. I have to bring it inside because he loves it so. Yeah, he is my baby. Yeah, the new strain is like a stealth one. I heard about it. Yeah. Yeah. And it looks like there isn't much they can do about it once you have it either. And that's what I think we're heading towards with the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction. Okay, I give you scritches. Okay. Oh, thank you for the galaxy. Thank you. Exactly. Everybody should think that. I think everybody should think their child is the most wonderful child in the world. And I think everybody should think their dog is the most wonderful and their cat is the most wonderful. That's really important. They should be the best. They should be the most wonderful. They're yours. I always used to, because I had a girl and a boy. And so I'd be like, who's my favorite girl? Who's my favorite boy? Because I had one of each. I could get away with that. Because they were totally my favorite girl and totally my favorite boy. You really scratched here. What's going on with you? What's going on with you? Oh my God, that's so cool. Thank you. Oh, I hadn't seen that one before. Oh, I love merry-go-rounds. Oh, well, there are going to be people who are vaxxed, but you have a better shot at not. My parents and my father, who has many comorbidities at this point because he almost died from a staph infection last year and is still actively taking antibiotics because he may be on them the rest of his life. If they weren't boosted, they would have been in the hospital with COVID when they got it last month. So, it is going to happen. And with the new variants, it's possible we'll see even more. So please wear your mask. I'm not a scientist, okay? Just like I'm not a weather person. I'm an astrologer. I'm telling you what I see in the astrology. And in the astrology, I am concerned. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Oh, it's saying to your phone. Oh my God, that's so cool. Oh. Well, guys, it's getting late, and Malcolm is saying it's time to go to bed. This is his, when he gets his head flat out on my arm, it's bedtime. Isn't it, buddy? Is it sleepy time? I think it's entirely possible well before that, but yeah. All right, you guys. Thank you so much. If you want to listen to the latest podcast episode, I talked about the brouhaha of people being worried about, the clock app and others banning content, and explain it there, and kind of explain what is happening on TikTok and why you want to look at your content strategy and stuff like that. So there we go. I also talk about moving forward. Oh, no night. Thank you. Good night, Moon. All right, everyone. Mwah. See ya later. It is available even if you're not a patron. It went live today for the public. So it's for patrons only for the first 24 hours, and then it opens up to the public. Okay? Mwah.